Namaste to all of you. Happy evening. Okay, today's session is all about living yoga. For most of us, when we say yoga, we think only of asanas, majorly, we think of asanas, or to a little extent of pranayama and meditation. But is yoga only about asana, pranayama, and meditation? No, of course not. There's a lot more to yoga beyond asanas, meditation, as well as pranayama. And today's session is all about how do you take your yoga practice beyond the mat. Let's start with the very first thing that comes to my mind. Yoga, if you look at it, there's a Yoga Sutra which says Stiram Sukham Asanam. Stability in your postures and also the joy in your postures in every posture or asana that you do. Sukham is a very important term that I would like to focus upon. For I personally believe life is all about peaceful progress and not stressful success. Wouldn't you agree? Isn't it? What's the point of success after success if you're not able to enjoy that success and there is no peace? At the same time, if there is only peace and there is no growth, that leads to stagnancy, and over a period of time, even that peace is lost. What we need is a balance of both peace as well as progress, and that's why life is all about peaceful progress and not stressful success. How do we implement this? In anything that we do, let's ensure that we peacefully do it, and there is some way in which we can measure our progress, and we know that we are progressing over a period of time. And if you are patiently and consistently working on it on over a period of time, you will see that you would have made gigantic progress. So there comes the mantra: small beginning, incremental improvement, sustained progress leads to monumental possibilities. I'm extremely grateful to my Guru Mahatriya and my teacher Yogacharya Bharat Shetty sir for having inculcated these values within me, and today I'm going to share these things with you. So let's start with what is yoga. Anybody who's done a teacher's training certification, they say yoga means union. So what exactly do we mean by union? Feeling that oneness of this Jivatma with that Paramatma, or this creation with that creator. But can we make it even more practical for every man for our day-to-day living? Let's take an example and we'll understand what does yoga mean. Parents watching this session, will you ever feel jealous when your child does well? Your child comes back from school and says, I got this star, I got this medal, I got this rank. Will you feel proud of the child's accomplishments, or will you feel jealous? Child is doing well. All of you would agree, would feel proud, right? Why? Whereas most of the time, when our colleagues do well, our neighbors do well, somehow we are not able to accept it and we feel envious and jealous. Why so? When the child did well, you started feeling so good, and when someone else did so well, we are not able to accept it. Here is the answer. Yoga means that oneness. You spiritually don't see the child as someone else. You see the child as a part of you, as a logical extension of you, and hence, when the child does well, you feel that oneness with the child and you say that it's your success. Whereas when your neighbors does well or the colleagues does well and you're not able to accept it, that only means that you're seeing that other as other and not seeing them as a part of you. And that's where that ugly emotion called jealousy can come in. For example, when Virat Kohli does so well for India or Rohit Sharma does so well for India, we all sit together and celebrate, isn't it? Why? We see them as a part of us. We have this common understanding that he represents India, I represent India, and together we are Indians, and his success is my success, and it's a collective success. That is oneness. Only when you are seeing the other as other, you will start feeling jealous about their accomplishments, and that's where that ugly emotion, envy, and jealousy comes in, which robs you of your peace. So, yoga is not only doing certain complicated postures on the mat, yoga also means you're able to feel that oneness beyond the mat, and feel their success as your success. In fact, at Panch Yoga, we have this value. Any student does well, all the students collectively celebrate. No matter how big or small the progress is, we celebrate. We are not celebrating the success, we are celebrating the collective effort and the consistent effort that has gone behind in that success. And in this process, initially it looked like just a clap, but over a period of time, there is so much of oneness. There are so many instances where a new student comes in, does well, students don't even know the student's name, but they start celebrating and there is joy all over. Isn't that what yoga is supposed to do to all of us? That it makes us a lot more peaceful and happier in life. In fact, take this as a mantra. Whoever does well, start celebrating it as your own success, and over a period of time, you start magnetizing more and more success in your life. Whenever someone does well and you're not able to accept it, become aware that you're beginning to see that person as someone else. Start feeling that oneness with that person, and that's what living yoga is all about. This takes me to the second point. All that we need is to look at things differently. What do I mean by that? I'll give an example over here. Let's say you are going in your car, the signal is red, you are the fourth or the fifth car behind, and the vehicle behind you starts honking. Most of us would get irritated and in our hearts start shouting at it, isn't it? Hey, diktane, signal is red and all that. However, if you turn around and when you see it's not another any other vehicle but it's an ambulance, will you still continue to be irritated or will you make space? Right? So we have what is called a paradigm shift over there. Basically, you're looking at the same event in a very different way, and that starts making all the difference to your emotions. Now, all that I would say is even if it's not an ambulance, if it's some other car which is honking, instead of getting irritated, if you can have this thought, maybe this person's loved one is in a hospital and is in a hurry to see them probably for the last time. Will you still feel irritated or you feel that compassion? Feeling that oneness over there is yoga. Changing that perception over there, that is yoga. There's so many examples that I can quote, and in fact, let me tell a real life example that happened in my life. Way back in 2012, I had been to a school called Prerna Waldorf School in Hyderabad, and I was addressing the adolescent kids, 9th and 10th standard kids. So there were about 80 kids over there. So after initially few questions, I asked them, "What's the thing that's bothering you the most in life?" So initially there was no answer. I asked them, "It's okay, see your teachers are not over here. What's the thing that is irritating you on a daily basis, and let's look at it how we can solve it." And then one child raised hand, got up and said, "Sir, every morning when my mom wakes me up, get up, utho, ready ho jao, school jana, etc., it's very irritating." I said, "That's very true. How many else can feel with this child?" And a lot of hands went up. I said, "Wonderful." I said, "Let's look at the whole thing a little different way." Said, one thing that is guaranteed in life is everybody has 24 hours in a day. However, one more thing that is not guaranteed is whether we will see another day or not. Anything can happen. There are so many people who are alive today who will not see tomorrow. They might pass in an accident, they might die overnight due to whatever health complication, that which is not in our control. And I looked at all the kids and I said, the very fact you are able to hear the voice, which means you are alive, isn't this a reason enough for you to feel grateful? And the children, they were beginning to look at the whole thing differently. And then I looked at all of them, and with a lot of love in my voice, I told them, "Kids, understand, more than anything that happens to us, when something happens to our loved ones, it is what hurts us the most. Isn't that true?" And I said, the very fact that you're able to hear your mom's voice, it means she's also alive. Isn't this a reason enough to feel grateful and celebrate? Suddenly, the children look very different. That's what it's the same event. Mom comes and wakes you up the very next morning, but the way you start looking at it is different. And thereby, what would have been an irritating experience of getting up will now be a peaceful and a celebrative experience. What did change? Everything over here changed and nothing else. This is yoga. And then I looked at the kids and I said, suppose your teacher comes and tells you, hey Arjun, you have been doing exceptionally well. I want to give you 24 grace marks. How would you receive it? And Arjun said, I'll be very happy, sir, and I'll feel very good about it. And I ask all of you, suppose your boss comes and says, you have been an extraordinary employee and here is a check of 2.4 lakhs bonus. Do whatever you want to do it. Or a venture capitalist comes and tells you, I believe in your business a lot. Here, I would like to invest 24 crores into it. How are we going to receive it? Will we say, Ayo, don't want all this, or we are going to receive it with a lot of joy and gratitude? Love, gratitude, and joy, isn't it? That's exactly, my dear friends. The venture capitalist, God, universe, nature, whatever is that, is gifting all of us another 24 hours of life. How should we actually be receiving it? Can't we change the whole way in which we get up from tomorrow morning? Can we get up with a lot of joy and enthusiasm, with that feeling that I am getting one more day to live? When you look around and your family is sleeping peacefully, that's enough to feel ecstatic and start your day with a lot of. With this perception, you see, whatever time you want to get up will never be a painful experience anymore. Nothing has to change outside. All that has to change is the way in which we look at the whole things. And this is going to make an enormous amount of difference. That's what yoga is all about. You live looking at every moment where you can celebrate, every moment where you can appreciate the good in others, and you start looking at everything differently. And the same events which were making us disturbed earlier, suddenly 80 to 90% of those events will come down, and that becomes a more and more peaceful experience. Connecting to the first statement that I made, life is all about peaceful progress and not stressful success. Today, more than the noise outside, the noise inside is what is disturbing us. And unnecessarily, we are creating a lot more noise by looking at things in a different way. Let's change that perception. Let's start looking at everything with a feeling of oneness, and you see, this is going to make an enormous amount of difference. Then you are actually, whether you practice the asana on the mat or not, you're actually a yogi because you're living your life filled with peace and bliss. And that's the way to living life. Life is all about peaceful progress and not stressful success. Now, there's a lot of questions that come in. Yes, I know the benefits of pranayama, I know the benefits of meditation, but somehow I'm not able to make time to do it. Somehow I feel guilty. I start a new year resolution, but after 10 or 20 days to maximum 2 months, I kind of give up. Why does this happen? How can we actually overcome this? Very simple solution again over there. Instead of measuring yourself on a daily basis and where even a single day's failure will start bringing in guilt, start looking at the whole thing in a weekly perspective. Out of 7 days, your target is minimum do it 4 days. When you do it for 4 days and you still miss on 3 days, you still have a score of +4 -3, which is a score of +1. So, which means in the entire week, you would have actually taken one step forward. If we can live with 5 days, miss out on 2 days, that means we have a score of +3, which means we have taken 3 steps forward. If you can do it 6 days and miss out on one day, that's even brilliant. You have a score of +5, which means we have taken 5 steps forward. And week after week after week, if you can do this 6 days on, one day off, for 50 weeks, you would have actually taken 250 steps forward, which is a significant progress. So 4 days is good, 5 days is very good, 6 days is excellent. And of course, in the life of legends, there are no off days. You start living by it. So from very this thing that I know it, we start moving into I understand it to I am living by it. And living by it is far more impactful than I know it or I understand it. When I know it, it's still a mental phenomenon. When I understand it, it becomes an intellectual phenomenon. And there you are ready to give this wisdom to others. But if you truly want to empower others and see that change in others, you got to live by it. And when we start living by it, it becomes an emotional phenomenon for us. And you will start seeing that you are able to empower a lot more people. And this is what life leadership is all about. So let's again summarize so far. What does living yoga mean? One, life is all about peaceful progress and not stressful success. In anything that you do, first priority is it has to be peaceful, and also ensure that there is some way in which you are making progress. Only success without peace is stressful success and it's not worth it. Only peace without progress is stagnancy and that is also not worth it. In the long run, whatever you do should only take you higher and deeper. Two, ugly emotion called jealousy and envy can happen only when we start seeing the other person as other, and that's not yoga. Only when you can see the other as a part of you, that is you're feeling that oneness, and then their success becomes your success becomes theirs. It's like a tug of war. My team's strength becomes my strength, and my strength becomes my team's strength. And this is what yoga is all about. You start feeling that oneness. How do I start it? I still feel envious about it. No problem. Start first with changing your action. Whenever someone does well, bring in the clap, start appreciating. Over a period of time, quantitative change will bring about a qualitative change. Next comes is it's the same event, but we'll have to start looking at it differently, and that starts making it either an ugly event or a beautiful event. It all depends on what kind of thoughts that we hold at the time of that event. Somebody is irritating, just if you have the thought, maybe is in a hurry. Again, why would you waste emotions on a stranger that you're not ever going to meet again in your life? Isn't your emotions a lot more precious? So instead, just have this thought, maybe is in a hurry to meet some loved one in the hospital, and just let go. You see, you're a lot more peaceful. Finally, next signal, you'll again meet him. Right? That's what happens most of the time. Next, there's a lot of questions which my students keep asking where he is able to do it, I am not able to do it. Usko aaya, mere ko nahi aaya. I've been doing it for so far, still not happening. No, this is again not the right thought, because even if you get all the asanas that you're looking for, you get your headstand, you get your handstand, you get the complicated, you put the leg behind the neck. Still, if you are not been able to be peaceful, then it is not going to make any difference. So I tell them there are few qualities that students or sadhaks need to have whenever you get into a yoga. And now I'm bringing into the practice domain, which we can also implement in our life. First one, my responsibility is to ensure that I am consistently practicing. Consistency is something that I only can bring in for my practice. Nobody else can do it for it. Instead of asking why this posture has not come, ask yourself, have I practiced consistently at least 24 times in a month? That's all. All go back. If your answer is no, go back, go back, go back. Or certain things need years and years of practice. You only have to ask yourself, have I done it so many times? 100 times, 200 times, 500 times, 1000 times. If no, go back, practice one more time, go back, practice one more time. Two, when you're practicing, you also need to be a little blind. What do I mean? Only because you're looking someone else is able to do something that you're not able to do, and you're not able to accept it, that is where you start becoming desperate. Mujhe nahi aaya, use, all these things. Instead, if you don't look at what others are doing, you just focus on your practice where you're focusing. Am I with my breath at this point of time? Then you see you're actually living yoga throughout the practice. Over a period of time, it's a law of life. If my path is right and my journey is on, one of my next steps is the destination. And it's just a matter of time where you will also reach the other end. That's all you'll have to look at. You have to be consistent, and your teacher will ensure that your path is right. Over a period of time, you will also start doing what was dream or what looked impossible in the beginning. So you got to be a little blind over there. You also got to be extremely consistent. And third thing, you need to bring in a lot of awareness into your practice. How do I become aware? Your breath is the answer. What is important is whenever you're doing a practice, rather than looking at the posture, just keep observing your breath. Are you able to breathe soft and deep throughout the practice? If yes, then your practice is right. If no, your breath is getting shallow, you're not able to breathe well, you're using your mouth, or you feel like holding your breath, then something is wrong in your asana. Go back to a little easier posture and get back the breath. Keep holding on to your breath, and one breath at a time, one breath at a time, soft, deep, rhythmic breath. It is like a game of chess. It's like a pawn. One square at a time, one square at a time. The pawn, when it reaches the other end, becomes the most powerful piece. One breath at a time, one breath at a time, over a period of time, you will realize that you are making gigantic progress in your practice. That's all. It's a very simple thing. My teacher, Bharat sir, keeps saying, keep observing your breath, keep observing your breath. He has two very famous dialogues. Whenever we are doing certain postures, and from far he'll say, Vikas, are you breathing? And then I get back to breath. Oh, yes, sir. Then he asks, are you smiling? Sometimes we forget to smile. That's it. Where again the message comes back. Life is all about peaceful progress, and we can ensure this is happening by observing our breath. And you'll realize that yes, I'm making progress. I'm making progress. Oh, what I was not able to do 2 weeks back, this week I'm able to do it. That way, whenever you make progress, you got to celebrate. I am now moving towards the conclusion with a very important point. First thing, yoga is you have to connect with yourself, which means there has to be enormous amount of love, respect, and gratitude to your own body and your own self. What happens with most of us is we are very good when it comes to appreciating others, but when it comes to ourselves, there is so much of criticism. This is not okay, that is not okay, and so on. This is not going to do any good to us. I am not saying that only keep appreciating and forget about progress. No, saying for all the good that we are doing and for all the progress that we are accomplishing, we got to feel grateful. We got to feel celebrative about it. At the same time, also be ambitious. Contentedly be ambitious. Be happy with what you have currently reached, and also be ambitious for what you want to do. This is the way for peaceful progress when it comes to ourselves. We got to celebrate. This is something missing, and I have seen it so many times. Somebody appreciates, we are not able to handle it gracefully. ऐसा ही बोल रहा है. Why will someone simply say no? When someone says this, they have taken the time. Appreciate them, thank them for the appreciation, but more importantly, tell yourself, deepen this feeling of appreciation within, because our subconscious mind does not know the difference between a positive emotion and a negative emotion. For the subconscious mind, everything is the same. So, and by nature, negative emotions are deep. Negative emotions are like weeds, they don't need a farmer. Positive emotions are like seeds, they need a farmer, and they have to be cultivated and harvested. There's a lot of work that has to be done. So, my Guru Mahatria gave this mantra long back, and that has been a life changer for me. Anything positive, speak about it in at least 5 sentences. Anything negative, keep it to one or none. Don't go on speaking about the same thing to everyone. In fact, I'm sure all of you will have at least one person in your life where they speak so much about their headache that you get headache. Correct? Right? Let us not be that kind of person. Instead, let us be the one where we are only speaking and sharing so much of joy, so much of celebration, that people who are even low in spirit start rising up. Let your joy and enthusiasm fill them up, just like a child. Think about it. If there is a room full of adults, it's a kind of gloomy room. The moment a child comes into that room, suddenly everybody starts looking at the child, and everybody becomes so enthusiastic. How did it happen? Because child brought in enthusiasm over there. Let us get connect to the child within us where there is enthusiasm. We only need to bring it up. That's it. We don't need to do some extraordinary things or some extraordinary posture, japam, etc. All living yoga is all about peaceful progress. You are enthusiastic in everything that you do. You start looking at things differently and have a thought which starts making you feel better. Many years ago, whenever I saw someone smoking, I would feel bad. Such a waste of potential that this person is wasting his health time, money, and doing something that is not going to add any value in whatever ways, and also polluting the environment. And then after a point of time, I realized if I keep doing having this thought, I am feeling more and more miserable, and nothing about him is changing. And again, as Mahatria said, start looking at things differently, and that made the difference. Now, whenever I see someone smoking, my immediate thought is today is using these fingers to hold a cigarette. Tomorrow, he will use the same fingers to start doing a pranayam. Whether he'll do it or not, I don't know. But this thought is making me feel peaceful, and then I know this is the right thought. All I have to do is change perception because we are lot getting irritated over things where we have absolutely no control. Somebody honks, we get irritated. Something happens in a movie and we get it. We paid money, went for a movie for entertainment, and we come out feeling more miserable. Why would you do that? You've gone for entertainment, go watch it in whatever way it is, come back. Fine, certain movies will meet your expectations, fine, certain movies will not. It's okay. Just a movie. We keep watching mega serials and hey, usko maro 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 aage. Why do all that kind of drama? Instead, watch it like an entertainment and leave it at that. See, ensure that you put a premium on the peace at which you live your life, and that will ensure that there is progress and there is joy all throughout. Before I conclude, I keep the session open for any questions that you guys have. If you have any questions, feel free. So far, I see a lot of happy evening. Happy evening to all of you. Love you all so much. So, Shiva is asking, can you show me how to do pranayama? Pranayama, I believe you meant pranayama. I think we have an earlier session which is also right now on YouTube where I took a session on pranayama. I think with the time we have, I'll not be able to do justice on how to do pranayama because broad subject. But if you just search for, I think it's uploaded by Global Insurance Brokers itself. There's a session on pranayama and that will give you answers, Shiva. Okay, Sukesh is asking how to process stressful situation. Okay, so it depends on what exactly the stressful thing, but the first thing that we need to do is accept. Whatever is the situation, the moment you accept, you are peaceful. But what when I say accept, I'm not speaking about passive acceptance and say Mera takdeer aisa hai. No. What I mean is dynamic acceptance. Accept the situation and do what must be done. For example, suppose you are going in your car and someone comes and hits. You get down, let's say an auto fellow comes and hits. You get down, fight with him. Until now, I have never heard a single situation where an auto driver says, mistake ho gaya, take this money. I have never seen that kind of things happen. So instead of all those things, look at the car, accept it. First, feel grateful, you are okay. Then, once you accept it, if the damage is minimal, leave it. If the damage is go, use your insurance and get the whole thing fixed. So the moment you accept, you see there is peace. Finally, you look at it, whatever is a stressful situation, some time later we will finally accept it, right? Maturity is instead of taking so much of time, the sooner you do it, that means the more maturity is. Whatever is the situation, think about it. What was hurting you years ago, today you are able to accept it. Why should we take so many years and then accept? That moment, if you are able to accept, there is. In fact, I remember my friend Ekant had written an article long back that whenever something good happens, we say, thank you, God, it's because of you. Whenever something bad is happening, we start blaming the person. And that article was such a game changer for me because, correct, no, when something good happens, we say, God's grace, blessings is there, I was lucky, I prayed, and all these things. Even in a wrong situation, we feel God has something better planned for me. when the same mistake is happening from another human being, we find it so difficult to accept. If we can forgive the creator itself, why can't we forgive the creation? Isn't the creation creator itself in a different form? The moment you feel that yoga there, that oneness, and you can see that creator in that creation, you say it becomes easy to accept. And because there is no human being without a mistake, accept and then do what must be done. Suppose somebody has cheated you, first accept, then feel grateful you were the one who was cheated, but you are not the cheat. Figure out what is it that allowed them to cheat, become prudent, grow out of that whole experience, and next time ensure that these kind of things don't happen. Then you will later on you will see that that was not a negative experience, that was an experience which helped you to not be cheated in the future, isn't it? Okay. So Subhash Nair is asking, if we are doing hard exercises like jogging, etc., then do we need to do yoga before or after that? Personally, I believe in doing after that, and the reason is just like any form of exercise, we do the warm up, do the exercise, and then do cool down. Same thing, whenever we do something, our nervous system also gets agitated, and a good shavasana at the end not only cools down the muscular system but also cools down the nervous system, which brings down the agitation in the mind. Most of you, where you do the asana and the end of it you miss out on your shavasana and go out, you will find that throughout the day there is a lot more agitation that's happening. If you have a good quality shavasana, it will ensure that there is a lot more acceptance, there is a lot more tolerance in the way we live our life, automatically a lot more peace. So we need to bring in, so that's my personal take. If I had to do both the things, I would do all the other forms of exercises and then end with yoga and a very high quality shavasana. How do we measure our progress? Ask Bharat. Now it depends on what is that we are doing. Certain things which are external have measurable ways in which you can measure progress. If it's wealth, you know what's the earnings, what's the profit you're going through. If it's some other quality, if it's a skill, you can always look at how were you doing it earlier and how are you doing it now, and the difference will help you measure your progress. If it's yoga postures, let's say it's a stretch, how much are you able to bend, how much are you able to bend now, that difference, something it has to be measurable, something that can be monitored, you will be able to figure out whether you are making progress or not. How do we let go of the idea of a new world and let go of all the expectations of the old world? So I still did not get the question well. How do we let go of the idea of a new world and let go of all the expectations of the old world? Now, not every expectation can be fulfilled, nor every expectation will remain unfulfilled, no matter whatever we do. If you bring this maturity in whatever I am doing, not all my expectations will be fulfilled. Also, not all my expectations will remain unfulfilled. And you accept this truth, automatically there is a lot more peace. Again, I did not get this question well, and I know the questioner. You can always ask me the question personally, I'll definitely answer that. I am just a beginner. What advice do you have for me? I am excited but also scared of how to keep the excitement alive for longer period without getting lazy. You should have a strong purpose on why and what you are doing. Once you have defined that why you are doing it, that purpose. My teacher Bharat sir keeps saying, get your purpose right. Then you see that excitement will be alive. I have a very simple purpose. I want to keep inspiring and keep creating role models through all my peaceful progress. And this purpose will keep me alive. So when it comes to work, every morning I'm able to get up like this and start my classes because that excitement keeps me alive. Now, once you have a very strong purpose, you see you can never feel lazy. I'll give a classic example. Most of us, where we decide New Year resolution, I'll start exercising and all those things. After 3 4 days, somewhere we start skipping and missing out because we are not very excited about what we are doing because we will not see instant results there. It takes time for us to see the results. Whereas there's a flight to catch and we are going on a picnic, Even before the wake up call rings, we were able to get up. Why? Because we were excited about it, isn't it? The purpose was very clear there. Get a very strong purpose, and trust me, you are going to make enormous difference. It will help you stay consistent. It will help you stay inspired. It will help you stay motivated. Sometimes you will start seeing the results that you were looking for. Sometimes it's like a bamboo tree that you will not see the results. Still keep doing what is right. Start loving the process more than the actual result, and that will start giving you all the results. Okay, that comes to the end. No more questions. I thank you all for joining in for this session. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. Vikas.panchyoga is my ID. And I'll conclude here. Love you all so much. Thank you.